Okay, so most people know me as Gazes, a Minecraft YouTuber who just sits at her computer all day. But believe it or not, I used to be an athletic little kid, and I want to talk about that because why not? So when I was 4-ish, I went to someone's birthday party, and it was a gymnastics birthday party, and I liked it for some reason. I started doing gymnastics very casually. I wasn't doing it competitively or anything. It was just fun. So I was mostly doing artistic gymnastics, which is like your stereotypical gymnastics, but I also did some rhythmic, and for some reason I was pretty flexible. Like when I was pretty young, I could do oversplits with a leg up on a piano mat, if people know what that is, which isn't amazing compared to other rhythmic gymnasts, but it was pretty good for me. Also, I might sound funny because I'm kind of sick, so I'm sorry. At some point, I kind of quit and then came back and moved gyms actually, because my parents thought that if I was doing this sport, I might as well be half decent. When I first got to my new gym, I couldn't even do a pull-up. Which, you know, pull-ups aren't necessarily easy, but it was embarrassing to say the least. The old gym I went to, let's just say, wasn't amazing. Like, their gymnasts didn't do stellar at meets, but the new gym I went to did have pretty good coaches, so they got me somewhat into shape. So I was in what they called pre-team, which was basically like level 1 and 2, I guess, for maybe a year or two when I was in 1st or 2nd grade. And one day the coach who coached optionals, which is what we call level 8, 9, and 10, asked for me and 2 other girls. Now, what she was doing was picking people for the TOPS program, which was for 8, 9, and 10-year-olds. Essentially, me and these 2 other girls would be put on an accelerated track, and the goal was that we would become elite gymnasts, or at least level 10 gymnasts. And I theorize I was picked because of my flexibility, because of my previous experience with rhythmic gymnastics, but the other girls were picked for being small and strong, so I was kind of at a disadvantage, you can say. Anyways, so the TOPS program thing had extra practices, so twice a week I would leave school 2 hours early so I could go to the practices. We'd do conditioning and accelerated skills, but the conditioning was a huge part of it. At TOPS meets, or whatever they call it, because I forgot, we'd basically have to do press to handstands. There was also a skills portion, but I never had the skills, so I never actually competed the skills portion. So you could say I got whipped into shape pretty darn quick. I swear to God, I felt like a mini bodybuilder. Like, I know I wasn't that strong or anything, but sheesh, I sure felt strong. So I was in level 3 for some time. I got moved up, but the TOPS coaches pushed me into level 4, even though I clearly wasn't ready, and let's just say I didn't do great that season. And for reference, you start competing in actual meets at level 3, at my gym at least. Like, I did really poorly that season, but I don't want to talk about it. So anyways, after doing TOPS for like 1 or 2 years, I left it and just did the normal practices, sometime in 3rd grade I think, because I hated it. The coaches were mean because, you know, gymnastics coaches are like that. Total, I practiced like 12 or 14 hours a week, I can't remember, and that's pretty rough on a kid who's like 8. I dreaded it so much. It made me hate gymnastics. I think I started hating gymnastics once I got picked for that program, and it makes me wonder sometimes if I would have liked it more if I didn't get picked for the program. Granted, the program did make me a better gymnast and in the end helped me do better in meets, but was it really worth it? I don't know. Anyways, so the coaches made me repeat level 4 once I quit, which, to be honest, kind of pissed me off. It made sense, but I could have done level 3 and I would have done way better than how I had done in level 4. And since I'm doing level 4 again anyways, I would have had a different experience, but whatever, it's in the past. I actually did pretty well in my repeat season of level 4. We had 6 meets and in all around, which is like all the events put together, I did really well. I went 2nd place all around for the first meet, 1st for the next 4, and the last one, which was states, which was the important one, I choked and I fell and I just did not well on my skills and I got 3rd, which, you know, it's pretty good, but it was pretty upsetting at the time. Okay, I'm gonna look slightly away from gymnastics now, because in my school life in 4th grade, which is basically at the time period I'm at right now, athletics was a thing I really took pride in. So firstly, in school we had the fitness test, which I'm sure everyone knows of, and the one that made me feel kind of special was the push-up test. I remember just one day after running our lap, I came over to our PE area and some people were like, Gazes, but you know, like my in real life name, and they're like, this kid did 50 push-ups, and my petty butt was like, I can't let a guy beat me in push-ups. Also, my 4th grader self used to have a thing with this guy. Yeah, super into romance. I don't want to talk about it, but it would have made it all the better if I beat him. So I did the push-up test and I did 55 and I completely died at the end, but I don't care. It was so worth it. Now, on top of the fitness test thing, we had this thing which is basically our district's version of an Olympics, like a mini Olympics. It's pretty casual. It brought together like 7 or so elementary schools to compete in events like long jump, hurdles, jump rope, and my specialty, chin-ups. Yeah, I don't know why my arms were so strong. I sucked at rope at gymnastics, but whatever. So the record for 4th grade girls chin-ups was 24, and I don't know why, but I was so determined to beat that. I have a pull-up bar at my house and I trained for the chin-up part of the mini Olympics. I would do like 20 on my bar and it was looking pretty bleak to beat the record, but I had hope. So like on the competition day, I went and the bar was thinner than the bar I practiced on, and for some reason that made it so much easier. My dad filmed me doing the chin-ups and I did it. I did 28 and I was so happy because I'd beaten the like record thing for 4th grade girls, and I don't know, I felt so much pride. I don't remember the last time I felt that happy. Oh my god. At the rewards ceremony thing, I was glowing. God, I sound so arrogant. I'm so sorry, but yeah. Anyways, back to gymnastics. I got to go to level 5 in 4th or 5th grade. Maybe, I can't remember. And this is when stuff went not as well. The whole season, I only won all around once, which now that I'm thinking about it is pretty good, but felt like a huge step down from last season. Plus, I only won at that meet because my friend fell, so yikes. The coach I had in level 5 was really mean and she hated me. The thing about gymnastics is a lot of coaches would play favorites, and this coach literally hated me. I was probably one of her least favorites, so that was pretty awful. So the next season or level after level 5 was level 6 technically. My gym usually didn't compete level 6, but they had me and a group of girls competed anyways. And god, that season was hell. My first meet, I didn't even compete bars because for some reason I was super scared of flyaways, which is basically a dismount on the uneven bars where you do a flip off. And my coach, she didn't like me, so she didn't let me compete it, even though I probably could have done it, but I don't know. At this point, I hated gymnastics. In my entire season, I didn't get a score over 36 for all around, and for me, that wasn't great. I did get to compete bars in the rest of my meets, but it was just so bad. After my level 6 season, I tried to quit. I was so sad about quitting too, like I was crying so much. That should have been a sign that I wasn't quite ready to leave, even though I kind of hated the sport, but I didn't want to end on that low of a note and hating gymnastics that much, I guess. But my body was always in pain and my coaches were always yelling at me, and as a 10-year-old that was not fun. I was going to the gym maybe 16 hours a week, if not more, so it was just very strenuous. So when I went to quit, I bought like leaving gifts for everyone, but my initial tops coach wanted to talk to me and the head coach, who was really scary as well, and they essentially convinced me to stay, so I did. And in the end, that was the right choice, so I wouldn't leave hating gymnastics. So after I talked to them and they convinced me to stay, when I went back to gym, the coaches were all really nice to me. It's like, I don't know, maybe they would have gotten paid less if I quit. I competed level 7 and my season went pretty well. I was going against the girls who were currently in tops because they were the same age as me, and since I was pretty young for my level, I had to go against them. So I did get second pretty frequently that season, but my scores were way higher than they'd ever been. I finally broke 38 all around, which is pretty good because the max is 40. I felt really proud of myself. And for the States meet, I finally got the first that I wanted to get my whole time of doing gymnastics, and it felt great. In level 7, you can also go to this thing called regionals, but my gym is kind of mean and they only let like the top 6 gymnasts go to regionals, and unfortunately, even though I won states and qualified, my gym didn't let me go, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. At least I got to end gymnastics on a high note. So I did gymnastics for like 3 or 4 months after my last meet, and you know, started to get worse again. Coaches were not nice to me. I remember I had like this moment of realization that I really wanted to quit when I was just doing a handstand on a bar at the gym, and my coach was yelling at me saying that I was slacking, and I was like, I'm so done. I want to quit. At the time that I quit, I was practicing like 22 and a half hours a week, 5 days a week, and it was not great. I was spending, it seemed, every spare moment of my time there. So I quit. I think I already said that, but whatever. And that was basically that for my gymnastics experience. Was pretty up and down, and by up and down I mean mostly down, but you know, might go more into depth of how painful it was later, but whatever. The only other time where athletics came into play was in the push-up test in middle school that I actually had. I remember one time we were doing like a practice for the push-up test. We went in 2 groups, and the first time I stopped at like 20 push-ups because everyone else had stopped, and the PE teacher pointed me out and they're like, this is how you should do a push-up, and I was so scared because this was a class of like 60 people and I did not like the attention, so I just stopped. But then the guy in the second group, he did it and he kept going past me and he did like 30, and it felt bad to get beaten even though I stopped intentionally, you know? So on the actual push-up day, I got put in the same group as him and we went at the same time for the push-up test, and he stopped at like 30 and I kept going until I got to like 54, and God, that felt great. Beating the guys is always my #1 goal. I don't even know why. There's just something so empowering about beating guys, and I think that they should beat me at, because I don't know, testosterone, although it does have to do with weight, but whatever. But I don't know, it just felt great. But yeah, that's basically all the athletic experiences I've had, all that's memorable. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed hearing me rant for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, however long this is. But thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.